Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and we are once again going to be setting our lineups across my 3 fantasy football leagues here in Week 10 of the 2022 fantasy football season. Each and every week, I set my lineups just so you can see how my real-life leagues are going, and sometimes I give you some tips on how I make decisions and make transactions and set my lineup and stuff like that. So we're going to start with our 12-team non-PPR redraft league of bros right here. We're going to recap week 9, where I had a dominant victory over my opponent here. I'm now 6-3 on the season. Every single player in my lineup scored a touchdown other than my kicker, and yes, that includes my defense. I played Justin Fields, Tyreek Hill went off, Isaiah Likely only had 1 catch, but it went for a touchdown. Patriots defense had 26. I did pick up and play Fields over Cousins, and that was definitely the right decision as Fields hit over 40 points. And I had a ton, I had Latavius, Njoku, injured / on bye. Latavius was on bye. Edmonds on bye, now that I was going to play him. Dalton Schultz on bye. Sutton had a bye week. Jonathan Taylor was out with an injury. Hollywood Brown was out, but I did just recently trade for him for later in the season. So, I kind of acquired him knowing he wasn't going to play. And then I did draft Javonte in the second round of this league. So obviously, he got injured out for the year earlier in the season. But we're still looking pretty strong here. In terms of transactions I made, I did drop Isaiah Likely. That was just a 1-week stream that I needed without Schultz and Njoku. And once Mark Andrews, it looked like he wasn't going to play, so I played Isaiah Likely, and it worked out last week. And I picked up the Broncos defense. So here's my opponent for week 10. I'm going up against a team that's pretty hot on a 5-game winning streak. Here's a look at their roster. Currently, no kicker in there. We do have kickers in this league. It's like a 10-year-old league, so we just kind of tradition at this point. But he might not have Josh Allen, but no Jamar Chase. Didn't play Drake London, who had a touchdown. Possibly no Josh Allen, but he does have Kyler Murray, who also might not. He's questionable right now, so we'll see what happens with that. But I'm just going to control what I can control. And there's really no tough decisions in this lineup. Justin Fields against the Lions, that's an auto start. He's one of my starts of the week. Miles Sanders, he's been great every week, so I see no reason why to not keep playing him. The Vegas Raiders get Jonathan Taylor, and I'm hoping that he has a nice little bounce back game here. It's looking like he is going to play, so I'm going to be starting him against the Raiders. Tyreek Hill's an auto start. DK Metcalf against Tampa Bay. Metcalf is someone that I start most weeks. Dalton Schultz at tight end, I'm starting him. I think he's kind of making a little bit of a comeback here. Had a little bit of an injury-riddled beginning of the season, but he's looking a little healthier. He's got Dak back, so hopefully he can keep doing all right. And then the only tough decision was Darnell Mooney or Courtland Sutton. And I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney. I think he's going to have some big plays against the Lions, and I have the stack with Justin Fields. I do have Courtland Sutton starting in another league that you'll see later. So I don't really want to have that much exposure to Courtland Sutton just because he's been really bad lately. And, the Titans are technically giving up a lot of points to wide receivers, but with the way the Denver offense is playing, it is still nerve-wracking to play Sutton. So I'm just going to go with Darnell Mooney, who's been somewhat hot lately. I'm going with Meyers at kicker, and then I have the Patriots defense on bye. Normally, I don't like to roster 2 defenses, but the Patriots are literally the #1 defense in all fantasy right now, so I am not going to be dropping them. So I'm going with the Broncos against Tennessee. I might change it to the Giants against Houston, just because it looks like Ryan Tannehill is going to start over Malik Willis. The Giants against Houston at home, I might make that switch. If I do, I will comment it down below and put it in the description. In this league, we are currently the #4 seed. 6 teams make the playoffs. We're 2 games ahead of the 6th seed. So we're looking pretty solid. After an 0-2 start to the season, we're looking pretty great, especially when you consider Javonte and Jonathan Taylor have not helped my team at all, my 1st and 2nd overall picks. So anyways, moving on to the next league. This is the Auction League of Bros. It's a 10-team Superflex. Also a redraft, just like the previous one, except this was an auction draft instead of a snake draft. So last week, I got my 2nd win in a row. I'm now 3-6 on the season. We've had a pretty rough start, but things are somewhat turning around. Kenneth Walker has been a lifesaver for me. I also drafted Jonathan Taylor and Javonte Williams in this league, so that's not ideal. But things worked out last week, Dallas Goedert, I was kind of upset on Thursday night when he put up 20 on my bench, but Zach Ertz came out, got in the end zone, put up 12.5, so it was pretty close. And then Curtis Samuel against my Vikings had a long bomb touchdown, which was annoying, but we did get the victory. Some transactions we made here. So yes, Joe Mixon and did get traded for McCole Hardman. I don't even want to talk about that. The team that got Mixon is the #1 overall seed. So yeah, it's not quite veto worthy, but it's borderline. We never veto trades, but that one was like, what do we do? But we let it go through. Just because Hardman's been hot, and you never know what happens. So only transaction I made is I added Wan'Dale Robinson and dropped Chase Edmonds. That's pretty much it. I was stashing Treylon Burks on IR, but I didn't want to drop anyone else once he was activated from injured reserve. So Treylon Burks was the guy to actually get cut. And then here is my matchup this week. Josh Allen, he plays, probably do well. If not, he'll have to rely on Heineke. So I'd much rather have Heineke, especially as a Vikings fan. We have a higher chance of winning against Buffalo if Allen doesn't play. But obviously, like, it would be cool to play against a fully stacked Bills team and see what happens, because I kind of want to see the Vikings get tested by a super team like that. Because the last time they played a really good team was like week 2 against the Eagles, and that did not go well. But that's real life football talk. This team, they don't have a great record. They're 2-7, but they have some pretty scary players. Or Michael Pittman's been kind of down, but he's playing the Raiders. So we'll see what happens here. And Justin Fields has been hot, and he gets Detroit. So we'll see what happens. But in terms of decisions to make, I'm going with Geno and Dak at quarterback and Superflex. I'm going with Dak over Kirk Cousins. It's just a tough matchup for Kirk against Buffalo on the road. Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, and Aaron Jones are my running backs and flexes, my flex position. And then at wide receiver, Waddle's an auto start. DK Metcalf and Joshua Palmer, with the injuries the Chargers have, he's looking like a nice little option. And I do need him. I am going to need to rely on him here. And I'm going with Dallas Goedert against Washington over Zach Ertz against the Rams. Both tight ends have been great, but I'm just going to go with Goedert. I like him a little bit better. And no really tough decisions here. I'm going to be keeping Cooks on the bench probably no matter what. I just like these 3 guys better. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then moving on to the final league. This is our Dynasty League. So the last 2 weeks, my team, Prodigious, has had the most points in the league. Week 8, Week 9. So recapping Week 9 very quickly here. I had a huge performance, obviously. Most points in the league. Tua went off. Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns, put up over 50 fantasy points. Sanders had 15, and Dallas Goedert had 20. So that was enough. That was enough. We got it done. Looking at the benches here, I mean, no McCaffrey. We still were fine without him. No Jonathan Taylor. James Robinson, it was nice to see him get involved a little bit. No Mike Williams. No Sutton. No Dalton Schultz. Not that I was going to play him or Dulcich over Goddard, but yeah, things are looking okay in this league here. Transaction wise, what did we do? Where's my team at? I don't even know if we did anything too crazy. It's like a 30-man roster, so nothing too crazy is happening. Just because the waiver wire is so bare. But 7 days ago, I added Jermichael Hasty and dropped Crowder just as like a handcuff. Those are the kind of transactions that go down in some of these dynasty leagues. And this is my matchup. I'm going up against a pretty good team who just traded for Cooper Kupp. I think he traded like Dalvin Cook and Kamara. It was some crazy trade like that. And he got Kittle from me, so his team looks a lot different than it did at the beginning of the year. But I did not get off to a good start with DJ Moore, not doing the best. But I kind of want to find this trade for you. Here's the trade, just in case you were curious. It was Cook, Kamara, and a second for Robinson, Kupp, and a third. Yeah, I mean, Kupp is very valuable, but these are 2 running back 1s plus a second. That's tough because both of these teams are competitive. They're trying to win a championship, so we'll see how that plays out. But in this league, I'm starting Tua over Brady. McCaffrey is an auto start. Jonathan Taylor, I'm hoping for the bounce back against the Raiders. Miles Sanders has been solid. I'm going to keep playing him. DJ Moore, I thought he'd replicate his success against Atlanta like he had a few weeks ago when he had 24.5 points. But that most certainly did not happen. I am going with Courtland Sutton in this league just because of my other options. Chris Godwin is in the lineup. Deandre Hopkins is pretty much an auto start now that he's back from his suspension. Dallas Goedert is getting the start in this league. I am tempted to go with Goedert in this league and then sit Goedert in the other league and go with Ertz, but we saw how that went last week. I think Goedert is pretty much an auto start territory, and Ertz is still like maybe just like 1 tier below where you're probably going to start him every week. But you really want to start Ertz in the right matchup. Whereas Dallas Goedert, I think you just put him out there and hope that that offense, that seems to always put up points, you just hope that Goedert gets in the end zone, gets some production. As of now, I'm going with the Cardinals against the Rams over the Bears against Detroit or the Chargers against San Francisco. If I change that, I'll comment it and put it in the description, but I think that's pretty much locked in at this point. Yeah, no really tough decisions. I'm glad I didn't start Kyle Pitts. No Mike Williams. No Mixon. He's on bye. No James Robinson, but our team is still looking pretty solid here. So this is a 10-team dynasty league. I'm not sure if I said how many teams, but it's 10 teams, and we're looking okay here. So those are the those are kind of all the decisions I had to make. We're 4th in the standings in this league. 6 teams make the playoffs here. And then I almost forgot, these are the standings for that previous ESPN redraft auction league, the Superflex. Only 4 teams make the playoffs in this league. I kind of want to change that in the future, so like 6 teams make it, just because like a lot of these teams are probably, they're not technically mathematically out of it, but you know, it seems like it's very hard to make the playoffs. I mean, I'm only 2 games back, but you know, some of these teams are gonna have to drop the ball a little bit if I'm gonna make it, and I can't really afford to lose any more games. So maybe moving to 5 or 6, I mean 5 teams with maybe like the first seed getting a bye, or 6 teams making the playoffs. That would be nice maybe moving forward. So I'll talk to my league about that, just a thought. But yeah, those are all of the lineups to set this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to drop a like. I also post videos that are more advice related, like starts of the week. So make sure to subscribe for some more fantasy football content like that. Good luck in week 10, everybody. Peace out.